blaming the leftists and y'all saying that the leftists did this. And mind you, we're supposed to be soft, woke, nose pierced, ear pierced, blue haired, all kinds of, and black and gay. And you telling me y'all want to fight us? That man in that office took your health care. That man taxed you. That man is causing havoc in that office and making your life harder. He said he was going to give you no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and he didn't do it. But you want to go to war with me? You want to come fight me? Because Charlie got clipped? I didn't do it. It was a white man. The white man did it. And you want to threaten the HBCUs? Have you lost your mind? You don't even know who your enemy is. Because it's sure enough ain't the left and it's not us. That was a skilled individual who shot that man for 200 yards. And it's sad that it happened. But you want to fight the wrong people. You want to go to war with the wrong folk. You want to go to war with me. Nigga, I'll bite you. I don't play fair. You ever seen a scary man? I get scared easily. Shoot, I can't do scary movies. Everybody talking about that Jesus horror movie. I'm not watching it. I'm too scared. You ever seen the scary man? I will bite you, bro. I will clip I will go for your knees. You're not living. You're not gonna live. I can assure you of that. Let me be scared just a little bit. You done. Yeah, no, it's clipped. I don't know. I don't get y'all, bro. I really don't. Go follow my new page. It's down below. Please follow that. I don't know if this is going to get banned or not, with these new guidelines coming.
Okay, folks. I don't know how to say this without sounding like I'm fear-mongering, except to just say it. On Fox News today, Jesse Water, the narcissist, the plastic surgery perfected, cold-ass smirk asshole, just asked the Fox viewers what it was that Charlie Kirk would want. And he said he would want us to retaliate. That's right. He urged all of the already unhinged Trump supporters to retaliate. He gave a whole diatribe about it. You know what I don't remember happening from left-wing news sources? When Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband and their beloved dog were assassinated, and another Minnesota Democratic senator and his wife were shot. Miraculously, they survived. And there was a whole hit list of another 70 Democrats that this Trump supporter, who listened to Charlie Kirk daily, had on his list to target. I did not hear anyone on the left urging us to retaliate. When the police officer in Georgia needlessly lost his life to a Trump fanatic who fired 150 rounds at the CDC because he was a Trump supporter, anti-vaxxer, I didn't hear one person on the left urge us to retaliate. When that youngster walked into that school and shot a student and a teacher before he unalived himself, saying that he adored Candace Owens, listened to her right-wing hate, I didn't hear anyone on the left urging us to retaliate. When Nancy Pelosi's husband nearly had his brains hammered out by a Trump supporter, I didn't hear anybody on the left urging us to retaliate. When the shooter in Michigan unalived 4 Oxford High School students, and he had parents who were Trump fanatics, and he was a Trump fanatic, and they gifted him with a gun and ammunition. I didn't hear one news source from the left urging us to retaliate. When that guy went into that Texas mall and shot and killed all those people because he consumed right-wing content and hated Democrats, I didn't hear any left-wing news source urge us to retaliate. And here's what the Trump supporters, who are already unhinged, can't see when they're watching Jesse Waters. Look it up. The guy is a sociopath. The guy had a smirk on his face. There was no remorse, loss. He didn't seem to be grieving Charlie Kirk at all. His energy was, this is great. I get to keep on sailing, making lots of money, getting lots of views, just doing my thing to rage bait. That's the energy he gave off. Trump supporters can't see that. Why can't there be a bunch of class action lawsuits already against Fox News? I'll sign up.
All right, we have more concerning breaking news. Less than 1 hour after conservative commentator Charlie Kirk was tragically pronounced dead, MAGA Fox News host Jesse Waters goes live on air and declares war. He decides to use the most incendiary, divisive rhetoric by claiming, quote, "They're at war with us. What are we going to do about it?" I want to highlight the shooter is still at large. The chyron on Fox News says, "Police looking for Kirk shooting suspect." So the chyron is admitting that we don't know who did this yet, while Jesse Waters is saying, quote, "They are at war with us." And again, I entirely condemn this. And if you want to make the argument that there's a high likelihood the person who did this disagreed with Charlie Kirk from a more left-leaning or far-left lens, then we can wait for the investigation. I wouldn't disagree that it's likely, but it's definitely not time to be going live on Fox in front of millions of Americans and using the most incendiary rhetoric possible. Jesse Waters is double my age, yet the video that I made in response called for a better, more unified America. I'm going to play the clip in just 1 second, but I want to be clear. This is clear incitement. Jesse Waters tries to draw a narrative of a bunch of tragedies that aren't linked in any way. He cites the shooting of Donald Trump's ear, which was done by a Republican kid. He cites the shooting of 2 Jewish people outside of an embassy, which was done by a far-left, insane, radical lunatic who nobody would defend. No liberal will ever defend this. But let's just listen to this clip of Jesse Waters. And keep in mind, this is rhetoric designed to prime people for more violence. So we need to back off this type of rhetoric, Jesse Waters.
Said this hits differently because Charlie was one of us. And Trump gets hit in the ear. Charlie gets shot dead. They came after Kavanaugh with a rifle to his neighborhood. They went after Musk's cars. They just shot 2 Jews outside the embassy. Think about it. Scalise got shot, barely survived. It's happening. You got trans shooters. You got riots in LA. They are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us. And what are we going to do about it? How much political violence are we going to tolerate? And that's the question we're just going to have to ask ourselves. Now, Charlie would want us to put as much pressure on these people as possible. Dana nailed it. This is unacceptable and has to stop.
Wait. I just want to pause it. The chyron at the bottom says, "Charlie Kirk assassin still on the loose." At this very moment, we do not know who did this. We don't know their ideology. You could make assumptions in your head, but in what reality is it okay to go on air in front of millions of Americans and use rhetoric about they're at war with us? It is very clear.
Republicans on social media and on Fox News are now declaring war on Democrats and anybody that disagrees with them, advocating for rounding people up and arresting them in the wake of the shooting of Charlie Kirk and, of course, his subsequent passing. Now, before we even get into any clips of people like Jesse Waters saying that there needs to be some kind of revenge against Democrats for the shooting, I just want to start by saying that this is absolutely tragic. What happened to Charlie Kirk is heartbreaking. As you folks know, I have plenty of disagreements with Charlie Kirk, but now is not the time for politics. This is not left or right or center. It's nothing like that. This is a man who is leaving behind 2 little kids, a wife who loves him, and for that, I am heartbroken, and of course, neither Charlie Kirk nor his family deserve this. So I wanted to start by saying that because in these clips, you'll see a lack of humanity, and I'm asking, where is our humanity? So I'm going to display it, even if the Republicans and many of them on social media won't. But let's just start here with Jesse Waters, who went on this tirade following the shooting of Charlie Kirk. And it's just abhorrent. You have to see it for yourself to believe that it's real. But he actually said this live on Fox News. Take a look.
This hits differently because Charlie was one of us. And Trump gets hit in the ear. Charlie gets shot dead. They came after Kavanaugh with a rifle to his neighborhood. They went after Musk's cars. They just shot 2 Jews outside the embassy. Think about it. Scalise got shot, barely survived. It's happening. You got trans shooters. You got riots in LA. They are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us. And what are we going to do about it? How much political violence are we going to tolerate? And that's the question we're just going to have to ask ourselves. Now, Charlie would want us to put as much pressure on these people as possible. Dana nailed it. This is unacceptable and has to stop. And it has to stop now. And everybody's accountable. And we're watching what they're saying on television and who's saying what. The politicians, the media, and all these rats out there. This can never happen again. It ends now. Greg's right again. This is a turning point, and we know which direction we're going.
Incredibly inflammatory and incredibly irresponsible. Like, I appreciate the message from Jesse Waters saying, like, this is unacceptable, it can't happen again. But you heard throughout his speech there, he kept saying they. They are at war with us. They are committing political violence. Who's they? We can only assume that he means, of course, the Democrats, people that disagree with him. It's the left, in his view, is at war with them. Quote, they are at war with us, whether we want to accept it or not. They are at war with us, and what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? What an incredibly irresponsible thing to say from somebody on America's most watched news network. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is not left or right. This is not the left is at war with the right or the right is at war with the left. This is, we're talking about the American people, America, our country. And Jesse Waters is saying that they are at war with us. Something has to be done about it. It's abhorrent. It's irresponsible, and it's wrong. I just can't fathom this. Here's another one where Nancy Mace immediately reacted to the shooting of Charlie Kirk, saying that the Democrats own it, that it's the Democrats who are somehow culpable in what happened today. Take a look at what Nancy Mace said, her immediate reaction.
I'm going to say this. Democrats own what happened today. I am devastated. My kids have called panicking. All the kids of every conservative.
The assassination of the far-right US commentator Charlie Kirk and the implications of what comes next in the US and beyond represents a truly terrifying and dangerous moment. Now, there were already big questions about whether an already deeply compromised democracy will survive Trumpism, and the possible violence and repression to come are, frankly, truly chilling to think about. Now, anyone who knows anything about me knows I oppose killing anyone in virtually any circumstances, except unavoidable self-defense, whether that be on an individual or collective level. I watched the video of his assassination, and to be honest, I wish I hadn't. It was horrible to watch. I don't support the death penalty in any circumstances. I certainly don't support it for people with extreme views. So obviously, I wouldn't support individuals assassinating people because of what their extreme views are. I'm not, however, going to frame this as simply having a difference of opinion, as I will explain. Now, at the time I'm speaking, we don't know who killed Charlie Kirk. Maybe that will have changed by the time you listen to this. I'll try and make my comments cover any scenario with that in mind. Now, we know that the two would-be assassins of Donald Trump, Thomas Matthew Crooks and Ryan Wesley Ruth, were not left-wing in any meaningful sense at all. Crooks was a registered Republican. Ruth had voted for Trump in 2016, then ended up backing politicians who belonged to both parties. Luigi Mangione, who allegedly killed the United Healthcare CEO, wasn't left-wing either. He seemed to be some form of slightly eccentric centrist, if you like. Now, this hasn't stopped Trump supporters lying about these acts of violence, however, including Donald Trump himself. Now, if the shooter happens to be someone purporting to have left-wing opinions, then they are completely and utterly insane if they think that this would somehow advance the interests of the left, morality aside. In what scenario would that happen? It simply strengthens the power of the state at the very moment it's under far-right control. It has placed left-wing public figures and activists in great danger. That is obvious. Now, let's listen to this speech from Donald Trump and what it means, and I'll discuss the terrifying avalanche of far-right incitement which we are currently seeing from his leading supporters.
It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and
now, and it's happening all across the internet. And it's something that I'm genuinely incredibly concerned about. That's why I'm sitting here making this video. I think it's so important that we cover this and so important that we push back on this. In the wake of the tragic murder of Charlie Kirk at a Utah University campus, instead of trying to unite the country, bring the temperature down a little bit, Republicans, and not every Republican, let me stress, not every Republican, but some of the most influential names in Republican politics on the MAGA side of America have decided to dive into division, blaming the left, saying that certain people on the left are culpable and it's their fault. I mean, at the time of filming this, the shooter has not been caught. We have no idea who committed this tragedy, and yet people like Elon Musk and others are automatically blaming Democrats. So I just want to show you the reactions from some of the biggest names in MAGA politics, and you'll see what I mean. And let's just start here with Elon Musk. Before I do that, make sure to subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video, comment. I'm going to continue to cover this story and bring awareness to this story because I think it's so important. But we'll start here with Elon Musk, where in response to a post about Charlie Kirk and assassinations on Trump and, the left lecturing us for decades about the dangers of violence, Elon Musk said, the left is the party of murder, right? That is an incredibly dangerous thing to say. Elon Musk has, 225 million followers, rounding up to 226 million. He is incredibly influential. This post has 37.2 million views. And instead of trying to use that platform to be like, hey, this is the act of one disgusting individual, nobody else. It's not representative of the left. It's not representative of the right. Let's just bring the temperature down. He decides to go all out against the Democratic Party. And he didn't stop there. Another post referencing something he said a while back, if tolerance means the end of Western civilization, then we can't be tolerant. He responded to that saying, if they won't leave us in peace, then our choice is fight or die. Does that sound very peaceful? It kind of, to me, sounds like Elon Musk is advocating for further political violence against the left in this post. It's pretty sickening that folks like Elon are looking at a disgusting example of political violence against a right-wing influencer and thinking that means that retaliation has to happen. Why can't we as a country just say, you know what? This is tragic, and the person responsible, the sole person responsible, if there is only one, is the person that should face accountability, not people who disagree with Donald Trump or MAGA or Charlie Kirk. The perspective of so many of these MAGA-leaning influencers is so just gross to me. And I want to stress, I don't think this represents your average Republican voter, but it certainly represents people like Elon Musk who are, coming very close to just advocating for political violence. How about this one from Joey Manarino, a huge MAGA influencer on Twitter? He said the Democratic Party must be classified as a domestic terror organization and their members and leaders treated accordingly. Enough is enough. This is somebody who has a lot of followers. Let's look at his following. 636,000. He thinks the Democrats should be treated as terrorists because we disagree with them.
Here's the truth, okay? No matter how many liberals and Democrats say what happened to Charlie Kirk is unacceptable, terrible, disgusting, cannot have a place in our democracy at all. No political violence whatsoever has a place. No matter how many of us say this, okay, on X right now, I'll tell you so you don't need to look, they are calling for retribution. They are showing pictures and screenshots from small accounts with 10 followers, 10 likes, 50 likes, saying this is the entire left, we need to get them back. And this is the entire spiral that can lead our country to a terrible, it's something. The political violence that can ramp up in these situations is so freaking crazy. And X right now has posts with 100,000 likes, 200,000 likes, calling for more political violence in response to this person who probably had mental health issues, okay? Because all these shooters have extreme mental health issues because normal people don't do this stuff, okay? They don't do this stuff. But the right wing on Twitter, we will try to make sure there is a strong voice saying how this is terrible. And we need a conversation about politics in America away from violent rhetoric and to problem solving, away from authoritarianism and to freedom. We need to carry that message as much as possible because the right wing media apparatus on Twitter and everywhere else, they're calling for an all out civil war. And they are going to try to use this to their benefit any way they can.
So I have high schoolers that were in school today when they found out about Charlie Kirk's assassination. And when the class found out, the majority of the students started cheering. And then the teacher said, well, he was kind of a bad guy. I am so angry right now. No teacher should be pushing that type of hate in a classroom. Sitting in a classroom and you are listening to your students cheering when somebody was murdered. In a government class, by the way. And that's your message? That is the problem we have here in America. And that is the problem that we have in the school system. I've had issues with this teacher prior to this, and I bit my tongue because she's one of my daughter's favorite teachers, and I didn't want to cause any problems for her. But I need to let my feelings subside, and then I need to decide what I'm going to do, but this is not okay. And that is not what we should be saying to children. The conversation should have been, we don't all have to agree, and you don't have to like what he says, but you should never celebrate somebody's murder because they think differently than you. We no longer live in a society where we can have political conversations and still respect others' views. We are dealing with a radicalization that is so beyond hateful, and it has to stop. This could have been a great teaching moment for a government teacher. Do your research and get grounded in your views so that you know how to debate the things that you stand for. Because being able to coexist with people that don't align with you politically is a necessity in society, and it makes for good governance. I'm hoping tomorrow I have some more clarity on how to approach this situation, but it needs to be addressed.
Am I the only one who feels like we may never know who or what orchestrated Charlie Kirk's assassination? And I'm not talking about, the shooter, because obviously the shooter was a professional, possibly military background that was hired by an entity or a person or people for whatever reason, because I don't feel like it's some random person who had issues with Charlie's rhetoric. I really don't feel like it was a random person like that, because if somebody has the means, the professionalism, and the ability to carry out something like this in broad daylight in public, they weren't going to choose Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was specifically chosen for this. If you feel like it's some random person on the street who did this, why don't they do it to a politician who actually creates laws that impacts people? Why did they choose Charlie is the biggest question. And I feel like this was all orchestrated for a greater scheme that we might not ever know about. And for all the cowards that are celebrating his assassination, whatever you put out there is what's going to come back to you into your lives. Be careful of the energy that you put out there. You guys are a bunch of freaking cowards. You guys could never be an ounce like Charlie Kirk, ever. You can't be brave like him. All you do is laugh behind a freaking phone screen. That's all you guys could do. You guys are pathetic. Be aware of what you put out there, because it's going to come back to you.
Breaking news, MAGA has created a new website called Charlie's Murderers, which is a database they are using to collect and harvest anybody's social media presence where people may have said bad things about Charlie Kirk, because in their view, the one person who took Charlie's life isn't the only suspect. Everybody is a suspect, and this is just a way for MAGA and Stephen Miller and Trump's FBI to put more and more of their enemies on a list so they can track people and go after political rivals. This is an extremely dangerous escalation, a major escalation by the right at this moment, by MAGA. The suspect is still at large, so we don't even know what the motive was for the attack. Of course, when we know, then we'll have more evidence. There will be more facts, but right now it's all speculation by far-right extremists on social media and people using this to try and incite more political violence. Please be aware that this website is real. It's being circulated right now, and be very careful about what you post on social media as well, because you don't want to end up on one of MAGA's lists.